Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives of varying skill range. I am the hitman of this episode, Andrew. With me, our Miss Man, Keith.
You can miss me with that attitude. Hi.
And with us, our No Man, Liz.
Hey guys.
And this week was a listener request, so thank you so much to our listener Corey, who recommended that we play Hitman. More specifically, we played the Hitman Trilogy, which contains both Hitman 1, 2, and 3. Hitman is brought to you by IO Interactive Studios, which, little history lesson here, this is their first time they actually owned the Hitman IP for themselves. They have always worked on the Hitman games, but they've always been under some sort of umbrella from a publisher, from Eidos Montreal to Square Enix, but eventually they bought the rights themselves, so this trilogy was their own doing. And going around, what did you guys think? Was this a gamer pass for you?
I'll go. Liz seems to want to hear what I have to say.
I'm really curious. Yeah.
Well, so one quick question. So I thought this trilogy was like a release of older ones. Is that not true? Is this just a complete own trilogy?
Nope. This is a reboot.
Oh, okay.
So technically, Hitman, I think, has been rebooted. I think probably 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is, like I said, this is them. This is the first time IO Interactive has had no publisher. They own the IP now, and this is so they rebooted.
Interesting.
The series.
I didn't know that,
and that's why it's just called Hitman.
Okay. I don't think it actually has anything to do with how I feel about the game. So you thanked Corey. I, however, did not. I hate stealth games. I hate them so much. I don't have the patience. I just don't care for it. It's so slow. There's parts where there's excitement, there's tense. I don't like stealth games. I think Hitman does a lot of really cool things in terms of stealth games, and there's a lot of things that I thought were neat about the game as a whole. But I did what I played to play it, and I'll leave it at that. So I guess that makes it a pass for me, a very rare pass. Because it's not even a game, just not for me. I'm just giving it a pass. I'm turning a new leaf.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm bringing back the personal pass. I haven't used that in a hot minute. And it's weird because I told Andrew, because we've been away, we've moved. I really haven't been playing games. And it's been so long since I've sat in this chair, I feel like. Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, give me something good. And there were times where I was liking the game, but for me, I find stealth difficult, but I still enjoy games. Like I've given games to stealth games that we've done. But you add that with the puzzle, which is like the worst game for me. And I liked watching videos, which we'll get into later, but I did watch some walkthroughs and stuff. But for me, like I'm going to give it a personal pass, especially because there are a lot of times when I was playing the game where I'm looking at a walkthrough, I'm like, I feel like that wouldn't work in real life. And that's why I didn't attempt it. Like you're just like flipping a coin, and then you stand in a corner where he can see you, like do, and it's like I would not go over there. So for me, it just like I don't know, it wasn't for me. But there are times in the game that I was like, this is actually really cool.
So I apologize. I realized I didn't describe what Hitman is. It is a third-person action stealth puzzle game. I more put the puzzle aspect on it because to me this really is kind of a puzzle game. But for me, this is a game. I've played quite a bit of the Hitman series. I'm not a diehard fan. I've dabbled in series here and there. I know because for a while it was more of a PlayStation game, and I have a PlayStation. But I've beaten Blood Money. I own Absolution, and I've done one other one I can't remember the name of. But I enjoy the Hitman series, and Liz watched me. I was playing Absolution today because I was like, I'm curious how this game aged. And it's pretty different.
The crouching.
Yeah. Hitman Absolution was the last game that was made by when they had the publisher, Square Enix. And it's a lot more story-driven and kind of linear when you play this game of Hitman. It is super open, and you are just really kind of free to do whatever you want. And I had a lot of fun with this game. It's just there's a lot of freedom of choice of what you can do. Like, to me, this game honestly is like a desert island game. If you love the Hitman series, like this game is really awesome because there is just so much content. Every level, like, even though, there is an overall story, you could just play every level on its own. And this game is meant to be replayed. You're supposed to play each level dozens of times because there's just so many different routes you can do. And every time you're beating a level, you're gaining mastery on the level, which gives you more tools to do on the level. It's cool. And then, of course, there's like other side games, like you can create your own contracts. And then there's like a sniper where you're an assassin where you literally just sit in one spot and snipe people. I had a lot of fun with it. So yes, Hitman is a game for me.
Okay, I was a little worried. I thought you were leaning towards a pass there. I couldn't quite tell, but I'm glad you cleared it up.
You know, you don't have to mock me, Keith. So as I said, there is an overall story with Hitman. This is a reboot. So at first I got excited because of like when doing the intro, you know, you're coming to, you know, the agency where, you know, they're training you and they're like, oh, your history's erased. I thought it was cool. I thought they were trying to do like, oh, those other Hitman games did exist. You just kind of lost your memory and that's how we're rebooting it. No, there actually is a different story. They're just ignoring the other Hitmen.
So I wanted to ask if I have this right. So we all
you have
play
this right. I give you the right.
You are entitled.
You said it that way.
I know. I want it. No, I'm wording it as like I want to make sure I have this right. What I'm about to say.
If
I want to make sure that I have this upcoming statement correct. I played the third. Keith played the second, and you played all of them.
I played one. I beat one, and I got halfway through two.
Okay, because so we all played something different.
Yes.
Because I did look up the story, and because I thought it was interesting, and I also like when you're playing the game, you're just like, do I trust this person? And so like I was going back and looking at more details and stuff, and there was just like, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I saw something that I was just like, was this known the entire series? I'm gonna say it now. You can delete it, but that
Yeah, it's revealed in Hitman 2. And yeah, that is a spoiler. So yes, I will delete that.
Okay, thank you. So for me, I was interested enough that I wanted to delve deeper. And so for me, I just felt like there was this back and forth of like not knowing what was going to happen, which I really liked.
Oh, and thank you for reminding me. I forgot to actually mention this little caveat as well. So as I said, we played the Hitman trilogy. And unlike the other kind of trilogy games we've played, such as Halo or Mass Effect, we just decided to do this game all as one because literally each one of these games plays exactly the same.
And I accidentally started playing the third one because I thought I was playing the first. I was very confused
Yeah,
the way that it was
the
set
interface
up.
isn't great in the game.
And so Keith was like, I'll play the second.
Yeah.
Why not? So
So
my bad.
Yeah, you don't need to play these. Like they literally, one is as good as three, and they play exactly the same interface, different slight gadgets and missions and stuff like that. But yeah, they're essentially the same game. But yeah, the overall story, as I said, you're playing Agent 47, who is joining the agency. You have a handler named Diane Burnwood, who is essentially giving you the information. She's helping you find these contracts and guiding you through your way. And you're essentially trying to track down the Shadow client, who is trying to also take down another Shadow agency. It's a lot of spy stuff. It's kind of typical, but did you guys find the story interesting at all?
No. I mean, and I know that's very, very cliche. Yeah.
Very Keith.
But also,
did you know there was a story? Yeah. Well, you started on the second
I did.
one.
And I mean, so I obviously knew that I was coming in late to whatever story there was, but it was disjointed. It like all of the scenes seemed to make sense, but I'm sure it did tie in, and I just wasn't making the connection because I didn't care enough. But then the missions seemed to have nothing to do with the story that I just watched, from what I could tell. So it was like, here's this.
I agree with you.
It was like, here's this
them.
cutscene about your history, your past, or this. Now just go to India and kill a bunch of people. I'm like, that has not. You were just showing me in the mountains, and now I'm like, none of this makes sense. So I really didn't care. And yeah,
he needed to pay for it. He needed the money to pay for his endeavor.
I mean, sure, but at the same time, it was that, and then it was also just. It felt a little cliche. Like you said, it was like, oh, you got to track down who your arch nemesis spy is, but ooh, he's actually.
Well, that's a spoiler. Thanks, Keith. Both of you guys are killing it with spoilers.
No, I
there.
said to delete it before I
didn't
said
even
it.
honestly get as far as actually meeting the ghost guy. I just, at the very beginning, they tell you he knows your memories. And so.
Well, at the beginning, because it's recapping Hitman 1, because you played Hitman 2. So, yes.
Well, spoiler or something. All I'm saying is that I just didn't think there was anything that I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. It was a gameplay game to me. as many are, I know, but this one in particular, all I cared about was the gameplay.
I will say though, I feel like 99% of spy stuff is kind of cliche. So for me, it definitely doesn't. I get what you're saying. I agree, but for me, I still enjoyed it. I actually was looking forward to the cutscenes, and I also thought too that I was getting like wrapped. Like, I mean, there was this one particular mission in Hitman 3. It was a murder mystery. You go to this like big manor, and it's so cool because you're learning about this family, and like you don't have to fully investigate because you're like, you can frame this person, you could have this person commit suicide, you can keep digging and find out the truth, and then like it just like I it's so hard because I don't know what the spoiler, but you can also like kill people in ironic ways. Like it just, for me, it just like I kept getting into it, and there was like in this particular one there were like secret rooms and stuff, and I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to know more about this family.
There was one thing about the story too. I'm curious. So Liz, you played the third one. The cutscenes, were they animated?
What do you mean? Yeah. Well,
Were they like a full video?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is another thing I thought was weird. So in Hitman 1, it was fully animated, but when I played Hitman 2, majority of the cutscenes were still images of like, and with dialogue going
I think
on.
that's what I didn't like
So
either.
people weren't actually moving. Yeah, and it was weird. I don't know why they did it on Hitman 2. I think, from what I remember, some of them are animated, but they did a good amount where it was just still images and stuff going like that. And I was like, I don't know why they kind of changed it. So that's why I was curious if in the third one, because I didn't get to the third one. I didn't know if the third one was animated.
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't put my finger on that, but now that you say it, yeah, I can't think of any that were, and I think that's one of the things that kind of put me off to it too. It's just, I don't know, it just didn't work, and I don't know, I still go back to it. It just didn't feel like it played anything to do with my missions that I was doing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Keith. There is sometimes where like they're talking about something, and then it's just like, yeah, now you're going to Marrakesh and killing a general, and it's just like, what does this have to do with anything? And then after, like, oh yeah, that general was part of the group. And it's just like, okay.
Oh, by the way, he was a bad guy. That's why you did that.
Yeah. So
I don't think it was like that in the third one. Like I felt like every mission kind of made sense to me.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because like,
I mean,
well, because don't be confused too, because there's two cutscenes usually. So there's an actual story cutscene, and then they do the intro to your mission where they're like, hey, you know, and they tell you all about the people you're going after and all of that. So I'm not trying to like say, oh, Liz, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm saying like, because like I'm legitimately not trying to be mean about it. I just don't know, like, what's curious, like if you're confusing those with those or like thinking of those, because like that tells you about the mission, but I don't know.
A mission briefing video, and then you had cinematics.
No, like for instance, like the murder mystery one, like I need to talk to this woman who has information that I need based on what's going on, but I cannot get to her. I have to pretend to be a detective, and I can't get to her until I give her something to say.
Yeah, but that's like the mission briefing
to get her
stuff.
alone. But yeah, they tell you before, and so like I knew going in like why I had to be there and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm talking. So what
about?
we're talking about is like the cinematics. So there's like the cinematics, and then there's the mission briefings. The cinematics are like, here's some background about like the overall bad guy and this, that, and the other, and then it cuts to your mission, and then the mission briefing is like, here's where you're at, here's what you're doing, and those two things.
I thought you were just
connect.
talking about going to India randomly. That's why I
well,
was
I
talking
was.
about how. That's when I said.
So I'm saying you have
No,
this.
but after that I said. After that I said that. I kind of knew what was going on. Like I didn't have a mission. I was just like, what am I doing? And then you're like, Liz, I think you're confused. And I said, what are you talking about?
I'm really
This
confused.
is
I think-
sand all over
What?
again.
I'm really confused what's going on right now. I think you guys are both on two different pages.
I think we are too. But the last thing I talked about was going off of what you said about India. And then you're like, Liz, I think you have the cutscenes confused. And I was like, I wasn't talking about cutscenes. Did I black out?
No, I see what you're saying. I see where you were trying to clarify. So yeah, I was saying that you have the cinematic that's just like an actual story, and then all of a sudden the cinematic takes nowhere in India, and then your mission drops you into like India, and you get a mission briefing and explains to you why you're there. But those two things didn't connect. That's what I was complaining about, like the cinematic before the mission briefing.
Oh, I didn't have any trouble with that. I feel like it was normal in the third one.
Maybe,
But
and that's the thing is, I only played the second one,
I could be wrong.
so I can't speak to the third.
I played it over like a week, and I didn't finish the third one. And by the way, I don't want to hear like, oh, it's like only a couple missions or whatever. What is there, like 6 or something in each one?
No, there's probably about 10.
Okay, I suck at puzzles. I put way more hours in than I needed to, and I still didn't finish.
I'm confused about this because you guys both keep saying puzzle.
Yes.
What are the puzzles?
So, like, I mean,
So, okay, this is the way I see it. This game is like a Rubik's Cube. You know what? If you want to do a Rubik's Cube properly, you got to master it. You know, you got to learn how to turn and twist the things. Or if you want to be probably like Keith here, you can peel the stickers off and put all the whites on one side, all the browns on the other side, and there you go. You finish the Rubik's Cube. That's how I see this game. So yes, a Rubik's Cube is a puzzle. There's multiple ways to kind of solve it. Well, I guess technically 2 ways. But in this game, that's how I see it. You know, you are given a target, you know, or multiple targets, and you are supposed to assassinate them some way. Do you want to go around killing all the guards? You can. Do you want to go in stealth and try to not get detected? You can. So this is how I describe it as a puzzle game because, and as Liz is saying, like there's multiple ways to assassinate your target. You know, here's a general. Do you want to somehow have him get misfired from like one of his allies? You could set up a way to do that. Do you want to have an explosion go off and kill him? Like, so that's why I describe this game as a puzzle because you're trying to figure out clever ways to get to your target.
All right. No, that's fair.
and it's weird because I thought of it as a puzzle game too, like by myself, and especially with the one that I was talking about, like the murder mystery, and you're, you know, collecting clues and stuff. And I also like watching other people play it. It really can get so intricate with how you do things.
Yeah.
It's really amazing watching other people play.
Yeah, there's, like I said, yeah, there's so many different ways to do it, and I'm assuming you guys probably didn't play with it, but you can also create your own contracts and post them online. So you can challenge people. You can essentially set up your own mission. So you pick obviously the pre-made levels, and you can change who your target is. You know, some random dock worker. You can have your starting location set up somewhere differently, and you can set rules like, oh, only use a shotgun, or you can only use your fist, no weapons. You only have these select tools, and you could post them online and challenge your friends to these like fun, essentially map builders that you're doing. And it's just really interesting to do. So I was, seeing some videos online, like someone was doing the finish, the map was called the finish line, and the weapon was like the stipulation was like no running. You can't change your gear, like you can't change your outfit. You can only use like guns, and you have no HUD. So the guy literally was going around, oh yeah, you can't shoot civilians, but you have to kill every single guard. So it was like this really cool video of him just slowly walking methodically, like shooting every guard in like this intricate way. It's just, the videos you can find on Hitman are a ton of fun to watch.
That's something I will wholly agree with. And I think the gameplay is really cool to this. And I wasn't even trying to argue as far as the puzzle thing. I was kind of just trying to figure out, because I can see that, and why I think watching some of these videos is so cool is it's like speedrunners almost. I think they're fascinating because they're people who just, they dedicate hours and hours and have the patience to perfect these things. And I think it's vastly impressive, and it's so impressive to watch, but I can't do it. And I liked your Rubik's Cube analogy because I did a little bit of both. I would get like half the side of the Rubik's Cube done, and then I would peel the stickers. So I would start, and I'd be like, all right. But the thing that I struggled with, especially with Hitman and the gameplay, is that I wanted to be a perfectionist in it. So there's a two-sided coin to it. The autosave in this game is fantastic. It's like constantly saving, but I was constantly reloading. Someone would be like suspicious of me, like, this whole thing's shot. I'm going back. And
I did that too.
I would spend.
Well, if they're suspicious, they're easy to get away from. You literally go around a corner and jump in a locker.
I'm being a bit dramatic maybe about the suspicious, and I think it would kind of depend, but it was largely just like a lot of, it was that, and sometimes just being like I don't know, I'm just going to try this and see what happens. If I get away with it, great. If I don't, well, I'll just reload this and try again. So there was a lot of intentional trial and error. There was a lot of, crap, I didn't mean to shoot that guy, or, little things like that. So I kind of like you, Liz. I spent a lot more time on missions than I probably needed to. I'd have like a 45-minute completion time that took me 2 hours.
That's exactly what I would do.
Sorry.
And that's exactly what I would do, and that's why it would take me so long. It was so frustrating. And I also like manually saved a lot. So I'm like, I actually did exactly what I wanted to. I'm gonna save at this point, and then if I mess up, I can go back. And I also too, there was a level in Hitman 3 where you have to discard your gun. It's the only way that I could think of to get in, and you have to go through and get frisked. Oops, sorry. You had to go through and get frisked, so I had to get rid of like all of my weapons, and I was like, crap, I relied on them so much. So there was also like that I felt was really interesting because it kind of forced you to switch up the gameplay. I'm sure there was another way to get in.
Oh, there's always another way. I for a second thought you were apologizing for using the word frisked, and I was gonna ask you why you were apologizing.
I bumped the mic. Yeah. And then I wanted to point something out, mostly to Andrew, because a lot of times when I say that there's a bug in a game, he's like, I think it's user error. I actually Googled it, and there's this particular scene in Hitman 3 that a lot of people have had the same issue with the bug, or different issues, but this one in particular was mentioned a couple times on Reddit, and I'm smirking right now. You know what? I did it today. I looked it up today because it's always like, yeah, it was probably your fault, like whatever. But there's a scene where, because you have to murder this guy Hush, and so you can go through the way that I don't want to say like the game intends you to, but like you play out like it's a little cinematic, and you're doing this thing with him. And I did this walkthrough, and you're supposed to get rid of the assistant. And so I did that, and then so we came back, sat in the chair again. Everything is going to plan, and nothing is happening. So I'm like, what the heck? So I went back to my previous save, did it again, had to wait for him, and it wouldn't work. And so I looked it up, and it was a bug. And then so I looked up another one, and this guy literally just walks by Hush, shoots him and runs, and nobody catches him. So I tried that a couple of times, and I finally did it. But it's like I wanted to see like it all play out, you know? So I was kind of bummed, but I just want to say that there are bugs in this game, and even if someone says it's probably user error, you should go to Reddit because it may not be.
You can't, fault me for suggesting it's user error.
Let's be honest,
majority of the time it's user error.
Okay. I also wanted to say a funny thing that happened in the game, or I find it funny. So I snuck by this guy a couple times, and then this last time it did not work. So he's like, guard, there's somebody here. So the guard's like, follow me. And so the other guy leaves, and I'm walking behind this guy, and I'm like, wait, this is perfect. And so I take him out. But I was just like, I just thought it was really funny that the game decides to go that route where it's like, follow me, and turns your back to them. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. I love like the ways you can kind of kill people. Like there was one way I was kind of cheesing a little bit. Majority of your targets are being followed by guards, but if you're in disguise, like they don't care. I would purposefully like keep rubbing against the bodyguard so he would trail behind. And then eventually the target would be like a decent amount of distance. Then I'd just run up ahead and kill the target and then quickly ditch him before the guard would get in the room.
That reminds me, there was like, it irritated me, and I shouldn't have because this is a video game. But so I was talking to this person viewing, I was questioning them. This is the murder mystery one. And so this woman like comes up to me and was like, can you not get in my personal space? And I was just like, you came up to me, ma'am. I was so irritated. So then I moved, and then she goes and starts trying to get into our conversation.
I thought you would have like punched her just to reload. Like, I'll reload this game.
I was like, who does she think she is? And I was like, Liz, that didn't happen. It was a video game. But so for me, it's just like the people walking around the AI, it's very unintelligent. And a lot of things like that happened. And I was just like, I felt like somebody was up on me.
I will say, I don't think the AI is the brightest. But I mean, it is challenging enough. But at least what I love to like, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so in terms of the bugs, I didn't have anything vast that I can point to, but it always was with the AI in their pathing. And like, there's at least once or twice that they would start to like want me to follow them, but I would go ahead of them. They would then just turn around and walk back to their starting point and then not go again. So I'd have to like reload the whole checkpoint and restart that sequence to get them walking. So I ran into that a couple of times. But the AI in this game is it's like two different spectrums. You have the completely artificial unintelligence where they do the dumbest things, and then you have like supreme intelligence where they can see you from a mile away around a corner, and there's nowhere, like, I just don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. And then you shoot someone out of an ejector seat and everyone just goes, oh, that's kind of weird, and carries on with their day. Nobody flinched. Nobody ran to the plane. There's an explosion at the top of the building as this man rockets out of it. And everyone just goes, okay, well, I got to screw this screwdriver in over here and gonna take my break now. Like, what?
Wait, was this a training? Because I did that
Yeah,
too.
it was training.
it was
Okay.
training. But no, I agree. There's multiple times where you're killing people in really outlandish ways, and people are just kind of like, "Oh, that's the kind of thing that
Although,
happened."
did you catch the comment in the training where she mentions that they're all actors, and she goes, "Well, I hope
Yeah.
you gave him a seatbelt or something like that."
Well,
Like, whoops! I just murdered a guy for
Well, speaking
real,
of-
and he did nothing wrong.
it's funny you say that because in the first training, when you're infiltrating a boat, you like the very step-by-step training where they're like, go to this area, pick up this thing, do this thing. There's one point where you pick up a hammer and she says, throw the hammer at that guy. If you notice, the guy already has multiple bandages wrapped around his head with like bloody marks, so he clearly was an actor that has been like hit on the head multiple times.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, I noticed that. I thut that was pretty funny. I was like, this poor guy, you'd think they'd switch him off or something. Let someone else take a hammer to the head.
Why didn't he quit? That's what I want
must
to
get
know.
paid well.
After the second one, I'd be like, I'm
Spy
done.
agency, maybe they just pay really well. But yeah, I
But-
would think that's a good point though, Andrew, is that there's like some really comical and I think intentionally comical things about this game that it's sort of a weird dynamic to it, but it's also entertaining at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, the ways you can kill people are pretty goofy. Because, like,
Some
I know.
are awful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But some of them are also just, like, really funny. Like, someone's skydiving and you ruin their parachute. And you get to see him essentially commit suicide jumping off a building. But, yeah, there's, like, one I had of where you're trying to assassinate a general. And the way I found of doing it, there's these two guards that are, trash talking him. So I turn on the intercom that's right behind him, which angers the general. And of course, he goes up and confronts the guys, but he luckily is right underneath the toilet. So you kick a toilet and hit him in the head, and he becomes a real potty mouth.
Oh,
I saw a video
nice.
of someone going through a grape crusher. Is that what they're called?
Yep, wine
that
press.
was horrible. Yeah, wine press. That's the one I'm looking for. That was awful to see. Did you like? For me, like I would save that for the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? Like that woman didn't look like a human trafficker. I don't know what she was, but I don't know. Is that Hitman 1, 2? I saw a YouTube video, but
I think it's 2.
yeah, I just
It's definitely not 1.
I saw that and I was just like, I would save that for somebody who really, really deserved it.
Would you remind me about the wine crusher? I was actually surprised this game really isn't gory, which is also pretty
I
nice.
thought that was pretty gory.
That's probably the worst.
Because like you
Well-
really do see it, and so that's why for me I'm just like, what did the woman do in Hitman 2 to deserve? Not saying anybody deserves that. I'm not saying I would actually do it, even if someone was truly evil. It was a joke, but I was just like, what? Who was that woman? I wish I had looked it up.
I guess no, there is actually some pretty gory deaths. I think about it because then I was thinking about like, oh wait, actually I did shove a guy into a cocaine packing machine and he came out in little cubes. So,
Oh,
I mean, but it's not like you don't see the process happening. You literally see a guy go in one end and a cube come out the other end.
I killed someone who shouted like, I have a family, but I thought I had to kill him, and it turns out I didn't, and then I felt so bad that I went back to my last load. Because I felt
I
bad.
can't make orphans.
Yeah, well,
I fixed it.
well, and on that note too, there was I don't know. Yeah, you would have done this one, I think, Andrew, in Hitman 2. The woman at the like build site. I don't know if you had her, if you took her out with the like cement mixer. Like you had her fall into the pit with the cement mixer. I literally just stood behind her in the middle of everyone and turned that thing on and murdered her and walked away. And no one was like, "Hey, bud, you kind of just murdered her." They were like, he's wearing the right outfit. I guess he just screwed up. Take 15. That's a real hard day, bud. You earned a break.
Oh yeah, like some of them when you kill people, like clearly they obviously set it up because it's like, hey, you did the thing. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be like an easy kill. There you go. Because there was another one where I poisoned a guy with rat poison, which just makes someone throw up. But you're on like an open area along a dock, and he has a guard, and the dock is literally like a foot deep. Like it's a foot drop to water. And I literally push him into it, and it kills him. And it's just like, how did this kill the guy? He just fell into water that's like right on the shoreline, but it's like, whatever. And his guard is literally standing 2 feet away from me, but doesn't even like look around as a guy screaming into the water. It's just like, all right, that works.
Yeah, that's the AI I can't figure out.
But the thing that I really enjoyed about the gameplay is like, so when I first got into this game, I'm like, oh, this could be overwhelming. Like a lot of these missions, I'm going to be spending like 2-3 hours just wandering, just trying to figure out what to do. Because as you're wandering, you know, a lot of people are talking, having conversations, which gives you clues as to how you're supposed to like kind of find creative ways to kill people. But then eventually I figured out that if you actually press, you know, the back button, it has a category called mission stories, and it actually will give you icons telling you how to do a thing. So it's like, oh, you know, if you want to kill a target by, you know, pushing them off a building, you activate it, and like it literally tells you like, get this disguise. It's over in this area. So you get that disguise. Next step, go to this area and grab this tool. And it made the game just so much more enjoyable because when a game is so sandboxy, I generally get so lost in my own devices that I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And I just get lost and bored. So I love that this game had the option of giving me a bit of a breadcrumb trail. It doesn't give you all the options. It gives you like 8. But of course, each level has like, honestly, like 30. There's a ton of different ways of just basically shooting a guy in the head with a pistol, using a fiber wire, or one of the many creative ways of doing it. Like there's just numerous routes you can do. And so I love that the game held your hand a little bit, but not too much.
I think it was like the second or like, yeah, probably like the third or fourth mission where I figured that out. And yeah, boy, oh boy, was that a game changer as far as like trying to figure out what I was doing. Cause yeah, I would go and I would look at the challenges and be like, that doesn't tell me much of anything. I couldn't really figure it out.
Yeah.
But I like that, as you said, it gives you like, hey, here's some bare minimum options, and they're not just railroaded into one straight option the first time you have to run the mission. You pick it freely from there. But then, as you said, you can go around and you can listen to these little dialogues and find other ways to do it. And I thought that was a cool aspect to it.
I also like that the map had like little search icons. So there were times where I was just like, I'm missing something. So I'd look at that.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to bring up real quick that I hated, did you guys have trouble finding the exits when you were trying to get out of a situation?
No.
When like at the end.
They're posted right on your screen.
No, but there was one that like the one that I'm thinking of, you're underground. And so you need to get to an exit and there's so many guards and it's super long. But so for me, there are some levels like that where you're just like, holy crap, just get me to an exit.
There was
one
where I struggled a bit, but when I think maybe 5 minutes tops, I had already found where I needed to be. Okay, well, it wasn't too bad, but yeah, I don't remember having too much of an issue with that part, at least.
How many times did you guys say, screw this, and just start shooting everybody?
No, I was like Keith. I mean, I don't know if Keith, you switched it, but for me, there were some times where I killed like the guards, but besides that, I was really trying not to.
Yeah, I really went out of my way not to kill any non-targets, and that was actually one of my constant like load and reload. Like, oh crap, I accidentally didn't, or like I didn't realize I had the screwdriver in my hand and I didn't have it concealed, so I knifed him, or put it to the neck instead of just choking him out. So
you said, screw this guy.
Yeah, so I went, screw this. Now I need to redo this. So I generally tried not to kill any non-targets, but there was at least one mission where I just, for the target, I outright just in the middle of a crowd just said, you know what, I'm done with this. I was sick and tired of her walking back and forth. I pulled out the pistol, shot her, and I booked it.
There was only one time I did. I was the same way. I try to be as methodical because like I wanted to be like, professional hitman. So yeah, I would only knock out non-target people, even though majority of the time the guards are just as evil. You're dealing with cartel people or stuff like that. But on Hitman 2, it's like the first level with the beach house. Because at first it starts off with there's nobody there. You're just wandering around, gathering stuff, gathering intel. But then it's filled with a bunch of people. And like right away I got caught and I said, you know what, screw this. And I just started shooting everyone. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I was tempted to reload the game. But then I saw on the beach is littered with tons of more guards. And I said, yep, screw it. I'm just going to keep shooting everyone. So that was the only mission. I really just said, whatever.
Was that the first one on Hitman 2?
Yeah.
That was the one.
And that's the other thing too. I was like, this will be easy.
That was the one I think I was talking to you when I was playing it the first time. And yeah, I was like sneaking up in the bushes. I was disguised as one of the guards and just like trying to wait it out. And then someone walked up behind me. He's like, hey, what are you doing here? So I just ran and I like blew up a truck and then everyone shot me and I died.
Yeah. At the beginning of the tutorial, I think I told Andrew this. I couldn't figure out how to not crouch. Like hearing you like that you were sneaking like around. I was sneaking around. People were like making fun of me. They thought I was
what
like,
is this weirdo doing?
And yeah, so I was like, I mean, I think like if I pressed like start or something, like there was like the controller thing probably showed me.
Yeah.
But I was like hitting every button.
I think it's funny.
And then I looked it up and I Googled and I felt like an idiot. But I was like sneaking around for the longest time because I was like, well, I guess I'm down here for a while.
I do think it's funny. I feel like most of the time it's like, man, I don't know how to do this button. You were like, how do I undo this button? But I do like, anytime you mantle over, like climbing into a window, your character defaults to crouching, which is actually really convenient.
Stuck.
And that's, so you're just stuck crouching.
And then I looked it up and like I said, I probably could have found it on my like start or whatever, but sorry, I thought of that because Keith was talking about crouching.
Well, just another funny anecdote about the AI in this game, and one of the things that I think is funny is when I did that area properly and I took out the truck or I blew up the truck without anyone noticing. Every guard on the beach comes running to it, and I'm just casually walking away from it, and nobody stops and goes, hey, that's kind of weird that guy's walking away from the explosion as we all sprint towards it to see what's happening. They just carry on. Again, rough day out there, bud.
He's on his break.
He's on his break. Rough
break.
day. You just said it. There was a big explosion. Take your 15.
Wait, you gotta go to the bathroom. It's the perfect time
Guys,
to poop. Everyone's away.
Go check that explosion. I just gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Ignore the noises from this bush over here. But I think that's like the game, because of that, also has some really unintentionally funny moments. Like I think the ragdoll effects of this game are hilarious.
Oh, they're so ridiculous.
But I love it. Like this game definitely goes. It's serious, but doesn't take itself too seriously. Because even too, there's like outfits you can get to like start a mission. I know, like on the finish line level where you're at a racing event, you essentially one of the missions is to take over the pink flamingo and assassinate people as a pink flamingo. So this game is just meant to be like just funny. But that's one thing I absolutely love too about Hitman. I think the level designs are really cool. Like each one, is pretty unique. They've also varied too. Some you get like, oh, you're just in like this one big mansion, but other times you're like, hey, you're in a small town and there's like a huge area that you kind of have to cover. And, some of the targets are in different areas of it. But I love the map designs, and the locales themselves I thought were quite gorgeous and actually felt, for the most part, pretty like livable, like real locations.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I thought the graphics were actually really good. There wasn't a lot of, I don't know, I didn't feel like I was seeing just constantly the same AI models in terms of like just non-combatant AI, just people walking around the city. It wasn't like, oh man, I've seen that person 25 times. I think I ran into another guy dressed as a tailor on the episode in India, where like part of my mission I had to take out a tailor and dress up as him. But that was like the most I think I can really think of where I was like, that's a exact same character model as I've already seen. Just about everything else, at least they did a good job blending them. And then the cities and scapes looked good. I will say, I don't know, forever ago, I visited China, and it was actually the city that was in there. I don't want to butcher the name, but I think it was like Chongqing. I don't think it was the same city that I visited, and I very clearly remember it from my 4 days there. So I don't know if it was real to life, is all I'm saying.
Oh, so you're like, hey, I know this street. I know if I take a left here, I'll be down this alley.
I actually took everyone out in 4 minutes. It was impressive because I knew it like my own city, really.
Wait, why did you go to China?
It was visited.
Human trafficking.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that's why you go to China. No, it was my ex had family there who was like working there. So we got to visit them. Took the opportunity when I had it.
That's really cool.
It's actually not a Not a bad country, actually. I mean, the government's not great, but the country's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, what do
Let's say the government not so
careful,
great.
Keith, you're gonna get us canceled.
No, because the city, it's actually a beautiful country on the countryside. Just a fun fact about it.
Hitman 3, I thought was gorgeous. The AI, I thought like everyone looked really unique, and it actually like looked like the characters like matched the voices, and so I really liked it. Yeah, I think I said earlier that I walked in when Andrew was playing the first one, and his crouching just looked so awkward. So they definitely improved upon that. But yeah, I have no complaints about Hitman 3.
I think it's funny in Hitman 1. I feel like it's kind of a running gag. Like literally the entire game, everyone keeps talking about how handsome your character is. Because like on the second, it's either the first, I think it's the second mission. It's called Showstopper. You go to a fashion show, and there's the most gorgeous man in the world named Helmut. And he looks exactly like you, just with, like white makeup. And so it's obviously like one of the things where you can knock the guy out and become him. But there's multiple times where they reference that model throughout like the Hitman 1. And so it's just kind of funny where people are like, oh, your cheekbones are so good looking.
So is your character, is 47 a bad guy? I mean, get rid of the fact that he's a hitman, because I mean, I'm assuming that there's hitmen who only take out bad people. I don't know if that's true.
They take out whoever they get paid to.
So he is bad, because like for me, like I feel like they usually try to make like bald villains attractive. You notice that?
He's a blank slate. Like he literally has no emotion, no remorse, no sympathy, empathy. He's just a complete blank of a character.
But I just like that the bald people are always villains, though. Like you look at like Lex Luthor, you look at the guy from Daredevil. Like when's the last time that you had somebody saving the world who was bald?
Bald Superman.
Can you think of anybody? It's just weird. I feel like I've seen so many bald villains,
Vision.
but it's just like
Vision.
what?
He's a robot though. Or an
He's
android.
bald.
But he can't physically grow hair.
He's bald.
Professor Xavier from the X-Men.
Okay. There's two.
Oh, that's true.
Ha-ha.
Oh my,
That's a good
yeah,
one.
that's true.
Got one. Yes.
Wolverine.
It's like the hairiest. But yeah, well, speaking of which I think it's funny that you bring that up too. Your character is not like an average looking guy. Like that's also what I think is funny when you take someone's disguise. You are very striking.
Barcode in the back.
The barcode, the very chiseled face. Like you're tall, you're well built. Your tone too. You have a very monotone too. When they're like, "Hey, you're that eccentric bartender," you're like, "Yes, I am here to make drinks." And it's like nobody questions. Like, wait a second.
Well, so why are agents in TV? They're always attractive. I wonder if secret agents and spies and assassins and stuff. In real life, I wonder if they're supposed to look average. Like if you work for the government,
Yeah,
they don't
be
want
a fat slob because you'll be forgettable.
they don't want anybody who's like striking. So I wonder if that's a thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because yeah,
Like no bright clothes, always wear like a very generic stuff. Yeah.
because I like watching. I forget like people from the FBI and CIA, like former people, people who have like formerly worked there, will do like videos about like how like somebody would actually act in a situation, like compared to Alias or something. And they'll say like, "This is what a real agent would do."
Yeah, so
And I find stuff like that really interesting.
So any of our spy listeners out there, please write in and tell us, what do you have
You
to look
never
like?
know.
Tell us your spy secrets.
Please.
I seriously, because like I've said before, like I've always wanted to be a detective, and I would be terrible at it and stuff. But I feel like I could never do anything like as like a secret agent because I blush really bad when I'm uncomfortable.
You'd be the
or
easiest person to
I
interrogate.
can't keep a secret. Like, oh no, I can keep secrets, but like I just like you could just like a bad guy would look at me and I would just immediately like go be red. Just thinking about that, I'm like I could never do it.
But overall, though, for smooth transition here, what about audio? Anything strike out for you? I thought the voice acting was
I
pretty
love
solid.
the voice acting, and I also thought like the noises and the music and stuff. Like I thought it all worked, like
I thought
the
it was fine.
transitional stuff. Yeah, it worked.
Yeah. There wasn't anything like, ooh, this is a great soundtrack. But the sound effects, the gunshots were good. Like, but I think the voice acting was good. I like 47's very stoic monotone. Even though I feel like it's not really good for being in disguise and incognito, but I at least like it. Like it fits his face and his personality.
I will say, I think that in the third one, I think it was China that I was in, and everybody spoke English walking around the streets. And I was just like, I mean, I get why they did it, but it was just like, I immediately was just like, why are they speaking English?
Maybe your character speaks Mandarin.
But you could have like
just translates
subtitles or something. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
I don't know. I feel like it would be weird maybe, but unless, I don't know, I guess your story missions could still be people speaking English or something, but that's how you know that there's something going on, like, hey, those people are speaking English. I should go listen to what they're saying. I can understand them. But you are a super agent, to Andrew's point, so you're probably trained, and it's just, giving you the English version.
But I wanted to go back real quick on gameplay because I forgot to actually mention this. I'm assuming neither of you guys played the sniper assassin mode.
No, I did not.
See, it was actually a lot of fun. Unfortunately, there's only one level. You have to pay for the other ones, which is kind of unfortunate. But for the one level that you had, it was actually a lot of fun. Like I said, you literally are stationary. You're just a crosshair. You have 3 different types of bullets. And yeah, the mission was to assassinate these 3 targets and then all the guards. And so you're still kind of doing the same thing where you want to shoot people just in the right way, where maybe their body falls off a cliff and they won't get discovered. And it was like this whole wedding event that's playing out. So you can wait for like the wedding to end, or maybe it's during the reception, or maybe something with the band. You could shoot like a statue down to crush somebody. It was a fun, like interactive kind of mini game, but I highly recommend, if you haven't checked it out, to at least check out the Assassin game mode. I thought that was fun.
Again, so mean on a wedding day.
They're criminals. You're shooting bank robbers.
Yeah, but they have like little ring bearers and stuff.
Well, you're not shooting the ring bearers.
No, but not ring bearers.
I don't know
Is that
why
what
you
it's
said...
called? No, not ring bearers. What's it called when the kid
Yeah, it would be a ring bearer.
carries the ring?
Yeah, ring bearer.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, you looked at me like I thought I said the wrong word. No, but they're going to be traumatized for the rest of their life.
But there's no children. I will say that. There's literally no children in this game. Now
Okay,
I think about
then
it.
shoot at a wedding.
Shoot
them all up.
away then. Have at 'em.
As long as the kids aren't there.
I did do that, actually. Once I kind of got to a point through Hitman 2 where I was like, I don't think I can put myself through more of this. It's like, I want to try out the rest of it. That's when I went back and did the prologue, partly for achievements. So early transition there. And then also I did try the sniper mode because you said it was fun. I am so hot garbage at it. It was I got all the targets. 2 of them were just running away when I got them, and man, I was sitting there just taking shots at running guards, and I missed. Oh, I wish it gave me an accuracy percentage, because it had to have been less than 10%.
That's impressive.
It was so bad.
But yeah, since you brought up the achievements, though, I 100% do not recommend this for achievement hunters. This game, I think, has over 1,500 gamer score, because it is spanning over 3 Hitman games. But the game does a good job trickling you some achievements, because every time you complete a mission, you get an achievement. But there's also achievements to like max out each level. And like I said, each level you can put close to, I would say, a good 10 hours in each level, because you're supposed to play it multiple times, different routes, and to get a perfect score on each level, have it fully mastered, that's going to take some work.
Yeah, Andrew, you got 260 gamer score. You got 16 out of 83 achievements. And yeah, the total score for the gamer score is 1540. Keith and I tied 140 gamer score, but Keith got 1 more achievement than I did. Ooh. So good on ya.
But one thing I think that is also good for the Hitman trilogy, though, is this is a solid cloud game. Since it's a stealth game, you don't need crazy input. And as Keith said, the autosave is great. So there's a couple times I booted this up, which, yeah, I actually probably would maybe recommend this as a cloud game, because this game was, I think, like 58 gigs for a download, since it's 3 Hitman games. So it's a hefty download. But on cloud, it's a lot quicker. And yeah, I think it works really well.
I think the only reason I would shy away from it on cloud is that while for the most part it plays like just about anything plays awesome on cloud, you get that little bit of like screen overlay, and I don't know, there's just enough of a jitter that I feel like I would mistakenly screw up a lot of missions that I didn't mean to screw up.
I guess with my playstyle, I wasn't shooting a lot of people. Maybe. So if you're a shooter, yeah, it might cause a little bit of an issue. But for me, no, I didn't. I was mostly stealth and just kind of moving through. I
suppose.
But let's get into our final thoughts here. So as for me, as I said, this is a game. I thought the Hitman trilogy was a lot of fun. I do like that they kind of steered the series away, that this actually felt like a really nice reboot. I thought its story was interesting enough, but yeah, it's a typical spy thing, people backstabbing and there's, conspiracies and betrayals, typical spy stuff. But it was fun though. At least voice acting kept me engaged. I enjoyed Agent 47 and the handler, Miss Burnwood. It's just the gameplay though is where it's at. It is a fun puzzle game. Like I said, if you got stuck on a desert island with one game, I wouldn't hate having Hitman. There is just a ton to do here. It is just a big kind of sandboxy game where you can just really have fun and just screw around with. And it's completely apparent. Like I said, like we said before, go to YouTube and look at some of the videos. They're hilarious. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Hitman before, definitely check it out. If you have had it and you haven't been a Hitman fan, this probably won't sway you because it is still a stealth theme. But for me, this is easily an 89.
Dang. So I think this is just going to be one of those weird ones because I kind of already prefaced it at the beginning of it. And I think, I don't know. I don't really think I said much bad about Hitman throughout any of this. Other than, I just don't personally like stealth games. And I just don't have the time or the patience to want to, play a level over and over and over again, which seems weird because I know I play roguelikes over.
And that's literally what
but the difference is roguelike is you jump in, hack and slash, die, repeat, 20 minutes. Sometimes you might have one that runs an hour, if you have a really in-depth type of those games. And I like that. Whereas in this, I don't know, I did a lot of walking, stopping, and listening. And it all fits with the gameplay. It's just not for me. But that said, there's a lot of just really cool things about this for a stealth game. All of the sandbox things that we talked about. And as much as I actually don't like this game as a personal pick, I think you make a great point, Andrew. And even I would say for myself, if you put me on a desert island with all the time in the world to play Hitman for hours and hours and hours, I think I actually would. Because I could then appreciate it for that kind of relaxing gameplay. So it's still a personal pass as a whole, but I will say if you want to try to get into a stealth game, I think I would try this one. So I will give you that, or we'll give it that as for everything. All in all, I feel like I can't give it less than an 80 because I just don't have anything bad to say about it. So I'm going to go with an 81.
See, I was really struggling with the score. I'm going to give it an 83. I was originally thinking 80, but I think I liked it more than Keith. Not that I know how you feel, but just from, the way that you were talking about it, I think I like it a little bit more than you and less than Andrew. And I also, you were talking and I was like, do you know what? I didn't really say much bad about it either. I think just for me, this is a game that I don't usually play and it's really hard to score. And so there's little things that, I wish there was a bit more story and things like that. Being nitpicky. But I think 83 is a nice score. So I'm going to stick with that. And looking at Metacritic, for Hitman 1, 2, and 3, all the scores for critics and users, it was average all in the 80s. So, for instance, Hitman 3 was 87 for critics, 8.3 for users. So it was all between 80 and 87. So pretty awesome.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this episode. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you have any game recommendations, please, we would love to hear it. Or if you just want to say hi, we love when we hear from our listeners. You can email us at gamepassgrabbag@gmail.com or at Twitter at GBGBpod or Facebook GBGBpod. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952.
And I've been Keith, and I'm going to stealth on out of here.
And I'm Liz Noob. Gamertag, come on, I'm Dean, and I'm on Twitter at Liz Noob. Noob is EW.
All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys.